Good evening, family. This is Mustafaa Talks Tech, your digital marketing specialist and tech evangelist. Um, Tonight we'll just be broadcasting on the Mustafaa Talks Tech Facebook page, and then later on, maybe tomorrow, I'll restream it to all my other channels. But I just kind of want to singularly talk to the Mustafaa Talks Tech page tonight. Um, I've noticed that if you've been keeping up with the Mustafaa Talks Tech page and brand, that I've been doing a lot of interviews for the past 2 weeks. Sometime it's been me giving the interviews on one side of the table. Other times it's been me on the receiving end, being interviewed um, about Mustafaa Talks Tech, mission, purpose, and where I'm going with this brand. So I noticed that during the past 2 weeks that I have not come on my own platform just to speak as the person that owns this platform. I have not come on and spoke myself. I've been either doing or participating in interviews, and then from the content I got from those interviews, I was splicing them and repurposing and putting that information out from those interviews. So therefore I didn't have to, I wasn't producing any original content because the interviews and the repurposing of those interviews will suffice in the need of putting information out there from the Mustafaa Talks Tech brand. But I thought about it today as I was just making my moves around that I haven't even been on my own platform in about 2 weeks from these interviews. So I came up with a few show ideas or topics that I wanted to address that had been on my mind for a while. And I say I'm gonna hit that live button and I'm gonna go on and talk to the Mustafaa Talks Tech platform, those who are tuning in and are regular supporters. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. I'm not gonna sit there and lie as I have been doing, not intentionally, but saying we're not gonna be long, but we might be long. We might be 20, 30 minutes, who knows. So I guess if I say that we're going to be long, maybe that'll be the video that we won't be long on. So I'm just gonna reverse psychology myself. Instead of saying that we're not gonna be long and then we be long, I'm gonna just be transparent and say we're probably gonna be long and see what results that yields. All right. So I just before I go into the subject, I just want to thank everyone who has supported the Mustafaa Talks Tech platform. I've been just overwhelmed, excited, happy, but also humbled by the growth that I'm seeing with the Mustafaa Talks Tech platform and how I'm seeing those baby steps of it growing from a few months ago where I got like no engagement. I would just be like yelling in the room, hello, 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 and nobody was talking back to me. Where now I'm beginning to see the beginning steps of engagement starting to pick up. People starting to learn about the channel. People starting to engage with the channel. People starting to share the channel. And people are beginning to be in the mindset of looking out for what's the next thing coming from the channel Mustafaa Talks Tech, because they come to expect a certain output from Mustafaa Talks Tech. So that's just part of me going out doing the work, building the brand, building respectability to the brand, and setting those expectations for Mustafaa Talks Tech. So the best is yet to come. You know, people are starting to become attracted and want to help Mustafaa Talks Tech, and I'm definitely not going to turn down any help. I'm bringing them on board to help me. As I always say, that as a wise man once told me, that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to get things done. You just have to be smart enough to go get people to help you get things done. And where you have gaps and holes, you find people to help fill in those gaps and holes. So I'm being blessed to find, or people are finding me, who are bringing their expertise, bringing their knowledge, bringing their know-how, bringing their skills and talents to the platform. And it's helping me fill in those gaps and plug in those holes where I'm short, they make me strong. And we together lift this platform up of Mustafaa Talks Tech. So I just wanted to get that out of the way to just thank everyone and just encourage you to continue to support the platform. As you may have seen, that I released the ebook, Building Your Brand and Information Empire with Content. It's a very, very powerful, to the point ebook that is about 35 to 40 pages, but it's no fluff. It's just straight meat, straight protein. That if you check this ebook out and apply some of the principles and some of those nuggets that I give you, then you can create a powerful content marketing strategy. You can be a great content creator, and you can really establish a brand and become an authority in the field that you are trying to move in. So check out and download that book if you haven't done so, and just read it. Just read it with an open mind and an open heart. And I'm telling you that the information in this ebook, it's going to fill in a lot of those gaps that you may have. It's going to plug up those holes you may have, and it's going to show you how to be a powerful content creator and a content marketer. Because as they say, content is king, and content is one of the most powerful pillars of a digital marketing strategy, because when you have to pay for Facebook ads, or if you're trying to do email marketing, there may be some costs involved on certain levels with doing that. Or if you're trying to do some other things, there may be some costs involved in your marketing, right? But content marketing is free, and the only limit you have is your creativity, your lack of creativity. But if you have a creative mind and you know those principles of content creation and content marketing, you have a unlimited storehouse of potential content that you can create. And that content can include blog posts, that content can include email marketing campaigns. You can do a drip campaign. You can produce your own ebooks. You can produce videos like I'm doing. You can do lives. You can do you can create courses. I mean, God, I mean, you can do so much with content. You can do memes. You can create social media graphics where, like those little memes where you have some writings or something funny or some instructional, educational. You can do that, which are very viral and very shareable pieces of content. I mean, my God, man, you can do so much. I mean, you can produce bite-sized TikTok-like videos where, in 60 seconds, you give a tip, you give some encouragement, you give some motivation, you give some strategy. You can do that. That's content. And it doesn't cost nothing to create content. And you can put content out daily, weekly, monthly, and that content can become viral. Peace, brother. Yeah. That content can go viral, and it can do for you what you may spend weeks and months spending in Facebook ads to do, but the content is free. And as long as you have the mind to create content, as I said, you have an unlimited storehouse of content. So I'm just saying all that to say, download the book, building your own content and building your content and your information empire with content. I got mixed up my words. I apologize. Building your brand and information empire with content. I forgot my own book name. Building your brand and information empire with content. Check that book out. And I put my heart and soul into it. And it's based on 14 years of me doing this. This is not something I read in a book. This is my actual practices that I'm putting in the book. All of the consultations I've done with people, one-on-ones, or me consulting with small businesses and them asking me certain things, and I'm giving them tips and strategies. I put that in the book so that you don't always have to come reach out to me to get something. Some of that stuff I can answer or is answered right in the book. So download that book. But that's not what I want to talk about tonight. The subject that I want to go into is X, formerly known as Twitter, going the way of MySpace? Is X, formerly known as Twitter, going the way of MySpace? And this just came across my head today as I was moving about. And as you know, and you're keeping up with the news in the social media space, there's a lot of discussion about Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And I did a video a couple weeks ago where I was very transparent and I gave my opinion on X, formerly known as Twitter, Mr. Elon Musk, and that whole debacle. I won't repeat a lot of that stuff here, but the video is on YouTube and it's on my podcast under the title of Threads, Twitter, and under Threads and Twitter, some title like that. Threads and Twitter. Where would Twitter go from here, or something like that? But you can look it up. It's there. But tonight, for the time that we had to get, I just want to kind of explore this whole situation with X, formerly known as Twitter, and is it going the way of MySpace? And some newer people may say, my who? My what? MySpace. There was a time before Facebook was a thing and Twitter was a thing and Instagram was a thing and TikTok was a thing in that mid 2000 range of time. MySpace was the place. MySpace was the top platform, man. Everybody was on MySpace. You know, you set up that MySpace page and you remember the guy Matt was your first friend, and MySpace was huge. It was such a large platform where it was comparable to what we see from Facebook and these modern social media platforms, that MySpace was the place. But you know as well as I that with anything that you do, there's always going to be competition. There's always going to be competitors. There's always going to be me too people that come along and copy what you do or build upon what you do and take it to another level and sometimes make what you did obsolete. Thus was the case with MySpace, that someone came and did it bigger and better, i.e. Facebook, i.e. Twitter, i.e. other social media platforms that came along. And over time, MySpace became less relevant, whereas people would flock to MySpace and people were proud to say I was on MySpace. It became a dead space where MySpace is still there. I checked before I did this video. I checked to even see if MySpace was still up before I even just put this video up and discuss it. And to my amazement, MySpace is still going on. This is 2023. We're talking about 18 years or so after the heyday of MySpace, when it was this big thing. It's still there. But MySpace is a shell of its former self. If you talk to most people ain't on MySpace. Ain't nobody talking about come check me out on my MySpace page, or hey man, I got so many friends on my MySpace page, or I'm doing this on my MySpace page. People are not talking about MySpace, but because it's a legacy platform, it's not going away, but it's a shell of its former self. It doesn't have the attracting power that it once did. So MySpace may be here for the foreseeable future, but MySpace will not most likely go back to the height of where it was in that mid 2000 range, where everybody was on MySpace. Everybody was talking about MySpace. There wasn't no Facebook, wasn't no Twitter, wasn't no Instagram, wasn't no TikTok. You was on MySpace. But now, 18 years or so after the fact, MySpace is just a shell of its former self. I got on it. I don't even remember my logins or nothing. I used to have a MySpace page, but I just kind of navigated around to see what it was currently offering and what was the platform and how was it structured and what was going on. And hey, it's still there. But again, it's a shell of its former self. And if you've been around on the internet landscape even longer than the MySpace era, I'm going to take you back to the Black Planet era. There was a time before MySpace, before Facebook, before Instagram, before Twitter, before TikTok, before WhatsApp and Snapchat and all these other modern social media platforms. There was a platform called Black Planet. It was the original black oriented social media platform. And this for real, everybody was on Black Planet. Just like I said, everybody was on MySpace, everybody was on Black Planet. It was a black developed, black owned, I believe, original social media platform, which allowed the subscribers to have their own page, to have discussions, to have limited chat, allowed you to put links, allowed you to put videos on your page. It was the OG social media page before we even knew about a term or a idea of social media. It was Black Planet, man. And just like MySpace was once a relevant, huge thing, Black Planet was a relevant. I mean, Black Planet was huge. Go back and Google right now, look up Black Planet and just read some of the history. Black Planet was huge. I mean, they had numbers. They had people on Black Planet. A lot of black people was on Black Planet, right? And as I say, all things come of age, and sometimes they evolve and they continue on and they're able to stay strong, but sometimes they come of age and they fall from their former self and their former grace, and they become a shell of their former self. And Solange knows, Beyonce's sister, I believe, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, she repurchased Black Planet because it had went dormant after its heyday and its becoming a dormant platform. She purchased Black Planet because she understood the value of what Black Planet represented, and it was a platform that allowed us as black people to come on among ourselves and talk among ourselves and push issues that are relevant to ourselves and our community. Hence, Black Planet. It's a place for us to talk about the things in the Black Planet and the Black sphere of our reality of being black people. It was a great platform. And when she took over, purchased it, she modernized it and gave it some of those modern social media bells and whistles that you come to expect from a Twitter and a Facebook and a Instagram. So it was, brought up to more modern speed and ways. And I remember my login credentials from the early 2000s. This was just like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago, but I still remember my Black Planet login credentials, and I was able to log right back in. And I still had a Black Planet page, but it had tweaked and updated. A lot of my pictures and my videos, all that was gone, but the shell of my page was still there. And so I got on and did a few things and updated and added some new things that was representative of where I am in present time. But Black Planet is a shell of its former self. It's not as big as it once was. It has become a shell of its former self. But like MySpace, it's a legacy platform, so it's probably always going to be there, even if it's not a raging successful platform as it once was. That everybody was on Black Planet. Everybody was sharing, this my Black Planet page. This is my Black Planet credentials. Come check me out, man. I got a Black Planet page. I'm chatting about this, that, and the other over on my Black Planet page. Come check me out. Link up with me. Connect with me. Be my friend on Black Planet. Nobody's talking about Black Planet no more. Or if they are, it's a few quiet conversations like we're having right now who are remembering it, but it's not in modern time where people are jumping on board with fervent enthusiasm trying to get on Black Planet or MySpace. So I say all that to lay the background and to go into the discussion of, is X, formerly known as Twitter, going the way of MySpace, and I may add Black Planet, because you know that when Twitter first came out and it was rising to its prominence, Twitter was a thing, man. I mean, you had celebrities like Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore and other celebrities who were getting on board with Twitter, and they were communicating, and that celebrity endorsement gave it a push where the everyday American, the everyday person wanted to get on Twitter because it seemed like it was the cool thing to do, the cool place to be. You know, my favorite celebrity is on Twitter and I can talk to them in real time. You know, if I comment, maybe they'll um, recognize my comment and, you know, talk back to me. So it's like I'm talking to my favorite celebrity. Twitter was a place where everybody was getting on board. I mean, they had millions upon millions of millions. I mean, for Winfrey. I mean, everybody was on Twitter. Everybody was doing Twitter. Everybody was tweeting. You know, everybody was talking about, you know, those 140 character status updates. That was the place. That was the thing to do. It was Twitterville, Twitter time. You know, tweet, tweet, tweet. That's what time it was. But as I say, all things come of age, and some things transition and become great and allowed to carry on and become greater, and some come of age and then they fall off and become a shell of their former self. So in this discussion, I'm just asking the question: is X, formerly known as Twitter, going the way of MySpace? And we'll add Black Planet. And I say that to say because there's been a lot of interesting conversation in the news lately, this year, the end of last year, talking about X. Well, it was Twitter still then, but Mr. Elon Musk has done a rebranding of Twitter, now X, and has given it the brand name of X. You know, I wasn't keeping up with it like that. I didn't know what was going on because even before Elon Musk, I never was the hugest fan of Twitter. I just never got it. It never just resonated with me. I set up a page on Twitter just to complete my social media outreach and presence. You know, I had the Facebook, I had the Instagram, I had the YouTube. And so I just wanted to have a Twitter presence just so I would be active. And if someone was looking for me that way, I would be there. But I never got into Twitter or really, I mean, I understood the mechanics of it and what it was trying to do and what it was representing, but it just never resonated with me. It just didn't do anything for me. So I was on it, but I wasn't on it. But one day I was going into my folder on my phone, my iPhone, and I have, you know, all my social media apps in one folder, so I can just find them at one time and go to whichever one I want to and flip around. And I had saw that my Twitter bird app icon was gone. And in its place was just this big old X. I said, is this Malcolm X or Larry X or what's going on? It's just a big X sitting here where once was a Twitter bird, right? So I didn't understand that. So I, you know, did my digging and researching. And that's when I had found out that Mr. Elon Musk had made the executive decision to rebrand formerly Twitter and make it now X, because X is a favorite branding icon of his that he likes to name a lot of his stuff X. Why? I don't know. But Twitter now is known as X. If you download the former Twitter app, now X, you're just going to have a big X sitting on your phone, on your smartphone screen. When you see advertisements and things where, you know, they will put all the social media icons, you know, the Facebook icon, the Instagram icon, the YouTube icon, TikTok icon. Now you see a X where once it was a Twitter bird icon along those other social media brands. And I've said, I've gone on record to say before, I don't get it. you know, from my knowledge of branding and my practices of branding, I like my brands to tell a story. Even if you don't indulge and go all the way in, I believe that your logo should tell a story, your branding, images, your colors, everything should tell a story. Whether somebody didn't go deep dive into your brand, they can kind of get a hint of what you represent, what your brand is about, what the energy of your brand is about, what the spiel of your brand is about. So when you see a Twitter bird, the example of tweet, 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 then you know that that's about communication. That branding gives you an idea that, oh, this is a communications tool, this is a communication app. As birds tweet, 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 then I'm going to be tweet, tweet, tweet communicating through these Twitter updates. But when you have just an X there, I don't know what the heck that says from a branding aspect, from a branding background. X says nothing to me. X doesn't, it does nothing for me. I don't read anything. It doesn't tell me any story. It doesn't tell me, okay, if I download this app, what am I getting involved in? Where are we gonna go with this? It's just X. And you know that X in mathematics represents unknown. It means, nothing pretty much. So, just branding to give yourself an X, unknown. I mean, what are you saying here? I don't. I mean, I guess I don't know is representative of the X, which is unknown. I don't know. So I think that that was a branding misstep by Mr. Elon Musk, and I think that we can make an argument that Mr. Elon Musk has made several branding mistakes, several um, business mistakes in his taking over and stewardship of the Twitter platform, now known as X. And it has sped up and led to the rapid descent of Twitter from being a top platform to its now sinking and falling down to the question is X, formerly known as Twitter, going the way of MySpace? I mean, as I said on this segment, talking about what made Twitter become such a popular attraction is because so many celebrities were jumping on it and chit chatting and talking on it. And, um, on these late night shows, they was talking about, their Twitter accounts and their Twitter conversations. And so the common man got on board because it became a celebrity endorsement and celebrity popularity. But now we're seeing the exact opposite of that, where there's a celebrity exodus, where a lot of celebrities are getting off board. I think most popular, Oprah Winfrey, and other celebrities are, deactivating and deleting their Twitter accounts. So as celebrity endorsement led to people adopting Twitter, will celebrity exodus also inspire people to step off and move away from Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter? That's a great question. We're throwing that up in the air right now. And that's just one mishap that we can argue that Mr. Elon Musk has made with Twitter that is leading to his rapid descent. And there are other choices and decisions that Mr. Elon Musk has made, which is contributing to the descent of Twitter or the Twitterverse or the Twitter world. One that you may have heard about is this idea of he's trying to monetize and introduce a subscription model to Twitter, where one of the most attractive features of social media platforms, i.e., Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, thus and so, is that they were free. It was free to get on, no cost. You can communicate to your heart's content, talk all day, all night. And some of us talk all day and all night, but it was no cost. It was free. And now Mr. Elon Musk is hinting or talking about directly this idea of introducing subscription models or subscription levels where if you pay such amount of money, it will unlock access and features and perks where if someone doesn't subscribe, they'll be considered at the low rung or the low level. So it's creating distinctions in the Twitter world and the Twitterverse where, some of the haves and some of the have-nots, to use an example. So that discussion is leading to a exodus or exacerbating the dissatisfaction that people have with Twitter, with X, formerly known as Twitter. I've been calling it Twitter for over, 13, 14 years. So I'm still in the habit of saying Twitter, but I'm trying to discipline myself to say X, formerly known as Twitter. But that, when you start talking about money, where now I gotta pay to get on social media, where before it was free. I just had to enter my email address, set up a password, and I was good to go. Now you're talking about I gotta come out of my pockets, even if that coming out of your pockets is $5, $6, $7, $8, 9, and God forbid anything above that. People don't want to pay for what they know they've been getting for free all this time. If Facebook next week decided they wanted to introduce a subscription based model where now you got to pay to get on Facebook. You know how many people would get on Facebook? I'm one. I ain't paying for that. I mean, I like Facebook. It's a good tool to get in communication with old friends, to create new friendships, to network, to kind of shine a light on your business. You can do a lot on Facebook. It's they have great groups on there where you can discuss with others. I'm a member of a lot of boxing groups on Facebook. I like to go in there and chit chat and debate and argue about who's the greatest, who would have won this fight, if this era would have fought that era. That's great pastime for me to be talking about boxing on these Facebook groups. But if Facebook said next week, hey, you got to pay $9.99 a month to get on Facebook, or even if they said $5.99 or $6.99, I'm sorry. I'll have to find my social media enjoyment elsewhere because I'm just not going to pay for something that I've been receiving for free since 2009. So, by Mr. Elon Musk introducing this financial component to Twitter, that's pushing that exodus out where people are saying, see ya, holla, I'm gone. I'm not paying for this. So, with the name change, which I believe leads to brand confusion, it's been Twitter all this time and it wasn't broke. So, why are you fixing it? Why are you changing it to X? And then you're not giving us any story behind X or any rhyme or reason why now we're talking about an X versus before we were talking about a Twitter bird, tweet, tweet, tweet. So, all of these missteps and um, bad business decisions that Mr. Elon Musk has made is leading to, you're seeing in real time right before your eyes that Twitter is tumbling down. It's going down. I mean, yeah, like as I said before, I would keep a Twitter presence open just so I can be on that particular social media platform. I don't even have a Twitter page or X page anymore because I don't care about getting on X, formerly known as Twitter, or Twitter, now known as X. It means nothing to me because I don't see it being a platform of the future. I don't see it being a platform of growth. I don't see it being a platform of engagement. I see Twitter going the way of MySpace. Now, Twitter is still a large platform. I'm not saying that Twitter is going to go away, but I am saying that just like we look at MySpace, that's still active, but it's a shell of its former self. People still on MySpace, but they ain't getting on like they used to. As we look at Blackvoices, people are still on Blackvoices, but Blackvoices is a shell of its former self. People are not going as a rage for Blackvoices. I believe that that could very well be the destiny of Twitter. And within the next 5 years, that Twitter will still be here, but it will be a shell of its former self. It'll just be them twos and fews, a few people that are on Twitter because it is a legacy platform. So people will still have memories and still have connections and networking where they will want to get on Twitter, but it will be a shell of its former self. And in that echelon of great social media platforms, Twitter won't even be in that conversation no more, or X won't be in that conversation no more. It'll be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and whatever else comes to prominence or power in these next 5 years. So that's my prediction. That's what I believe, that X, formerly known as Twitter, is going the way of MySpace. It is going the way of Blackvoices. Within 5 years, we will somebody would log into Twitter just to remember, like, oh yeah, I do got a Twitter account. And they would go on there and it would pretty much be a ghost town. It won't be people on there except for a few stragglers. It won't be a celebrity hotbed where it once attracted a lot of celebrities for discussions and communications. It won't be that platform that Barack Obama was on and Donald Trump was on, and prominent politicians was on, because it was a communication tool to get out and reach and talk to people. In the next 5 years, I don't believe none of that will be in the discussion when it comes to X, formerly known as Twitter. And it will be the MySpace of its era, of its time, and the Black Planet of its time. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to get to of my prediction, what I think. So, what lessons can we learn from that? Because as we may be content creators or content marketers, or we're trying to build our own website, or we'll build our own app, or build our own platforms, we don't want to be has-beens. We don't want to rise up to a peak one day and then we fall down and we become a shell of a former self. Our business is no longer relevant. Our page is no longer relevant. Our app is no longer relevant. Our platform is no longer relevant. So there are lessons that can be learned from the fallings of all three of these platforms, starting with Black Planet, next going to MySpace, and now going to X, formerly known as Twitter. And if you learn the lessons, then you can avoid the mistakes. And whereas they fell and stumbled, you can walk over that stumbling block and over that stumbling fall, and you can make success where they found failure. So this research and look at the history of these platforms, see where they made the error, where they went left, where they should have went right, where they went right, where they should have went left, and you make that right turn where they made the wrong turn. You learn how to keep your brand consistent, how to keep your brand relevant, how to be innovative. That sometimes these brands fall off because they fail to innovate. That what was good 5 years ago may not necessarily be good in the present time. You have to innovate and change and modernize. And if you don't innovate, change, and modernize, then you sentence yourself to death, and somebody else coming up and becoming more relevant and doing things that you should have did, so they now take the shine and the light that you once had. So that's a lesson that we can learn. We have to constantly be innovating. We have to constantly be at the forefront of change. We have to constantly be seeing what is the new tech and what is the new way and what is the new piece of equipment that's coming out, and then we have to bring that into what we're doing and make it a part of, so that we stay relevant and keep going forward. Now we have ways of streaming music. We can go on Apple Music, we can go on Spotify, we can go on Amazon Music and stream music. We don't use eight tracks in this modern time. So me trying to release an album on an 8-track, that ain't gonna work. CDs and cassette tapes were of my time. That's how we got our music, man. It was a thrill to go to the record store on a weeknight or on the weekend and go get the latest cassette tape. I'm talking about Snoop Dogg and Too Short and Ice Cube and NWA. That was a thrill to go there just to get a cassette tape, and then to go get a CD. That was a thrill to get that. But if I release an album on CD, or God forbid cassette tape, that ain't relevant. Ain't nobody checking for cassette tapes or CDs. You better be talking about some streaming. You better be talking about your new album coming out on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. You better be talking about those type of things, because that's where the music's coming at. So if I fail, excuse me, to innovate in my distribution of music, then I will become victimized and sentenced to a time warp. But if I innovate and come into the modern time, that I know I just release my music to the streaming platforms and I keep going, I keep being relevant, I keep being able to release music in modern times. So those are just lessons that we have to learn so that we can move forward and we don't become a victim and become what used to be. So I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to touch on. Look like we may be having some hiccups and networking errors, so I have to check that out on the replay myself. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. But I'm seeing the network bars are kind of going up and down. I don't know what they're doing, but we hope for the best with that. But we're wrapping things up anyways. So most of what I said, it was before I'm starting to see these network bars kind of hiccup and act up. But that's modern technology for it. It's perfect in its imperfection, but it still needs improving. You know, it's not perfect yet, not there. So, hey, this is Mustafaa Talks Tech, your digital marketing specialist and tech evangelist. Thank you for hanging out with me and talking. We almost went a full hour. You know, that's just me having talked to you in about 2 weeks. So I just wanted to just really explore this subject and kind of exhaust it to the best of my ability and just kind of turn it over and look at it and explore it and examine it and let's see what we get from it. You know, your opinion may be different than mine based on whatever data that you get or information that you may have, and that's fine. You know, we can discuss it, and maybe you can show me something that I'm not seeing that maybe X, formerly known as Twitter, does have a future. But just from my vantage point and my knowing the history of MySpace and Black Planet before it, I'm just seeing it following that same trajectory, and I believe it'll end up in the same space as those two aforementioned social media platforms. But anyway, download my book, Building Your Brand and Information Empire with Content. Check me out on YouTube, like, subscribe, share me on YouTube. Subscribe to me on Facebook if we're not connected by chance. And I have a growing Facebook page. Check me out on LinkedIn. Check me out on Instagram. And keep up with Mustafaa Talks Tech. It's going to be a growing brand. We're going to continue to talk about subjects like this. We're going to be bringing on amazing guests to interview and talk about, you know, their expertise in tech. You know, I want to bring on people in the fintech world, the edutech world, cybersecurity. We're going to bring on people that are digital media experts who have built digital media empires. We're going to bring on Black people doing tech sales, UI, UX, coding, people who are into mobile tech, people who are building the next app, people who are building websites and digital platforms in that way, and somebody who's trying to build a new social media platform. You know, those who are in other areas of tech, we're going to bring them onto this platform, and we're going to talk. I'm going to sit back and just ask questions and let them talk, let them share their expertise, let them teach us, because there's a lot of teachers out there in the world of tech, and I want to reach out and find them all. So do those things for me. Just like, share, subscribe, follow me on all my channels, download my book. Check out my podcast. I have been working to transfer, excuse me, a lot of my videos into podcast episodes so you can take me on the go and listen to me versus, trying to hold up your phone and see me on YouTube. A lot of my episodes are now on podcast, and I'll be transferring a lot of those videos over the next few days. It's like 60 something videos, so I can do so many a day or so many every few days, here and there. So it's going to take a while, maybe a week or two, but I will get all those episodes, video podcast, converted to audio podcast, and I'll be up on the major podcasting platforms of your choice. So you can check me out now. I do have a lot of those episodes up now that you can listen to on the go. Mustafaa Talks Tech podcast. Check me out on your favorite podcasting platform. And as always, if there's any questions come up, or even if you disagree or you see it another kind of way, just go and put that in the comments. No beef, no issue. And if if you have any questions, something that I said that maybe I could have said clearer, or you need a little bit more understanding on, if it's within my realm of understanding and I can address it, put it in the comments. And your comment or your question could very well be the next video. I could create a whole video around the questions and comments that you have, and we'll address it in a video just like this. That way I can delve into it, I can piece it apart, I can look at it, I can flip it over, and we can just really go into the depth of your question and really try to answer it in real time in this way. So put those questions in the comments. All right. So have a good night. I'll see you guys another day on Mustafaa Talk.